So, Justin, do you see why I want to get rid of that at the beginning of every episode?
You know what's funny? I think I heard the dog scratching in the background.
Yeah. That's the best part of the music.
Yeah.
Did you write that yourself?
He's upset. He's upset that we're talking smack.
I worked on that today for a while, and it was sounding really good. And so the cello...
Was anybody around?
Yeah, so...
Was it supposed to sound like that?
No. I was with my son who plays the cello for like school, and he actually knows how to make the instrument sound like something. And so I was like doing that. He's like, dude, you're not going to get that on the podcast. And I was like, bro, I just did it. He's like, you're not going to remember what you played. He was right. And it's garbage.
I kind of want you to try again.
Dude, it's fun. Like, it's particularly the cello. I've always loved the cello. I've wanted a cello. And so finally he chose the cello in their orchestra. So I was like, dude, I'm buying a cello. And so I got one for like $200. And it's just fun to like, do you ever watch like Two Cellos? Have you ever seen that?
Yes,
it's like
I think I have.
Like these two guys that do like a lot of Star Wars stuff. Friends
Never
of the
heard
pod.
of it.
And they just like play the cello like crazy, kind of like that, with like percussive, like drumming on the strings and stuff. It was pretty cool. I tried my hand at it. I'm not obviously good when you don't practice a lot, but I thought it was fun. Welcome to Unsolved Opinions with the boys. Blue, who do we got?
We got me, we got Steven, we got Dan, and we got a special guest, Justin Snyder.
How's it going?
Snyder. Number like 4 of our actual guest list.
Yeah, it's
We
pretty
got to
tight.
stop calling them actual guests.
And actually, I think when we started this podcast, I think Justin was on the list of wants that we wanted.
Oh, immediately. Yeah,
immediately, because he's very interested in the stuff that we're interested in.
Yeah, it's funny because like the guests that we've had have been very serious guests where we talk about like, I don't know, last week we had someone that left the Amish community, and so we talked about like breaking down the Amish community. It's really cool. I would suggest go back and listen to it if someone ever tells you what the podcast is called.
Yeah, I totally walked in blind on this.
Right. And then the week before that, we had a guy who's a missionary in
Japan.
Yeah, so he came and was telling us his experiences there. And so we got Justin, the Bigfoot hunter, this
And
week.
filmmaker.
More importantly, filmmaker.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we love it. So we started the podcast, and I feel like we started to hit a stride when we go into like conspiracy theories or Bigfoot or any kind of cryptid and stuff. And every time I'm like, dude, Justin,
That's
is
like
gonna know.
that's our thing.
Yeah.
And Dan just is like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
He's like, you guys are
So-
good.
I've learned a lot the last 3 months.
We're going to hit you with some more today. So.
Yeah.
Sweet.
yeah.
So all that to say, Justin, to start out, what is your favorite cryptid?
Oof, that's tough. I'm going to have to land with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Pass the test.
Because that's the one that, like, I think that's the introduction
It's
to
the
everything.
gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the easiest one to get into, and it's also like the most fascinating and probably the most like credible, maybe.
What do you think that Bigfoot is? An ape? What do you think Bigfoot is?
How long is this podcast for?
It's as long as we want. It's as long as we want.
So-
First of all, do you think Bigfoot's real?
I go back and forth on it. People are seeing something, and because of the movies I made and because of the communities, the Bigfoot community that I've been involved with, I get stories shared with me all the time. Even like at the workplace, like that has nothing to do with Bigfoot at all. Somebody's like, "Oh, I heard you made a Bigfoot movie." I was like, "Yeah." Oh, I've seen one. I was like, "Oh, really?" So, I all the stories I get told just makes me think, okay, somebody's seeing something out there. Now, what it is like hard to pin down, because if every story is true, then the weird stuff that people associate Bigfoot with, you have to take that into consideration as well, you know?
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Of the encounters that you've heard on like Sasquatch Chronicles or different podcasts and stuff, like what percentage would you say you think is true? Because like I'll say for me, it's been cool because my son and I listen to it all the time, and so a lot of times I'm like using it as a tool to train him to be a critical thinker, because a lot of times the people are clearly making it up and the story kind of reveals that in the way that they're saying it and stuff. Like I'm sure a lot of people are seeing something, and it's the majority I would say is misidentification or something like that. Like you, I go back and forth all the time. But there are times when it's like very clear and obvious that someone is just telling a tale. And they were like, one time someone was like, yeah, all the papers reported it as a coyote or a wolf killed someone in the States. Well, wolf has never killed someone in the States. So that guy's like obviously lying. So using that as a tool to like teach critical thinking and like looking beyond. So my question is, of those that you have heard, like what would you guesstimate is like actually someone seeing something?
So it's hard to tell. Usually, I think like a telltale sign that somebody's fitting is when they've seen it more than once. I feel like it's a rare occasion if they are real. So if a one-time encounter, like, okay, that seems like a legit story. Well, I've seen it multiple times, then I'm like, okay, I'm a little suspect about that.
With the side of aliens and
well, that's what I'm going to say. But anyways, I would say, I don't know. Like, yeah, of course, people like want the attention and maybe tell false stories because it's like, oh, Bigfoot's something easy to lie about and nobody can prove me wrong or about it or whatever. But then again, like I listen to like a lot of true crime podcasts. Like you don't even know how somebody's going to like act or tell the truth when you're put into a situation. Like it's imagine you're like, yeah.
So it sounds like you're lying even though you're telling the truth.
Yes,
kind of
I mean, like you just saw something extraordinary, and maybe like there's even that fear of like I'm gonna get a lot of backlash about this, and to come out and share your story, yeah.
So now I feel like a jerk just calling me. These
No, I mean, it's hard, and Sasquatch Chronicles, I love it, but at the end of the day, I realize it is a podcast, like it's a business, so, but it is incredible that he shares, 3 to 4 stories a podcast. That means he's getting,
thousands and thousands.
Exactly. Like, so even if just out of the thousands of episodes he's done, if one is true, that means Bigfoot is real.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I love that stat. Like, even if everyone's lying and there's just one person that actually saw something.
Right.
My mother-in-law just kind of pulled up, and she doesn't know that I do a podcast.
I thought I saw something
like,
move.
Oh, shoot.
Hey, this is a good time for a bathroom break.
Right,
We'll be
right.
right back.
I didn't know if it was for real.
No, we're not.
Do you see how much he smiles when he gets to play with the sound effects?
Love the sound effects. Let's hear it for the sound effects. Yeah.
See? You see what our problem is here?
Yeah, well, I'm
He plays
impressed
the
that you guys
instruments.
had sound effects, so we were going with that.
He's like judging by the quality of what I'm looking at now.
I got a question from a noob, cryptid noob. So I've
That
heard
means a new person.
yeah, newbie, short for newbie.
Short for New Balance.
So I've heard from these guys and another podcast that they could just be demons or like different types of demons. But if you don't think they're demons, we'll categorize all those as a cryptid.
We have a strong Christian undertone to a lot of this, so a lot of things we attack in that vein.
I mean, okay, so you get a lot of people seeing Bigfoot walk in and out of portals, which I think leans it towards being a Nephilim or being something that goes along the line of like what's in the Bible or a demon. Because I feel like there's, if you believe in God, there's a veil between heaven and hell, right? And earth is in between it. Bigfoot's is one of these things that can walk in between earth and that portal to heaven or hell or wherever it was coming from.
Right.
So I can lend my hat to that theory and be like, yeah, that, I mean, it almost makes sense. I mean, it's weird that like, oh, I just saw this thing and it walks and it disappears, or there's been people that claim that they shot it and it doesn't like react
Nothing
to the
happens.
shot. Yeah, like Chestnut Ridge, the encounter on Chestnut Ridge is the one I think about. It's like it was a farmer and his 2 grandkids, and I mean, like, it scared him to death. They shot this thing, and he said it sounded like hitting water, and they see a spacecraft take off, and there's no reason for them to lie about it because it's just putting like a target on their back for criticism,
Right.
Yeah.
At a Skinwalker Ranch, when they shot the wolf, didn't that make a water sound too, or am I just getting my stories mixed
The
up?
wolf just didn't react to the shot.
okay.
It just
But didn't
acted
that one also
nothing
like
hit it.
walk away and float up over the trees or something?
I don't remember it floating over the trees.
I
but
think the story was that I heard at least. It was walking towards the river or towards like a forest line with the river, and they're like, okay, we stopped it. Like there's no place for it to go, and then just kept on walking, like floated over the trees.
Interesting.
So-
I've not heard that story.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. part of it.
Maybe
But
maybe there's like a bus or something.
The wolf story from Skinwalker Ranch, as I recall, it was that it came up, it was very friendly to them, and then it started attacking one of their livestock, and that's when he shot it, and it didn't react to the shot at all. Like it acted like nothing hit it. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I actually do think there's like a creepy bus or something like that, and they're trying to chase this guy away, and then it just floated away. So, but it was all the same. It was all the same Skinwalker podcast
Dude,
that I was listening to.
Skinwalker's
So
crazy.
there's so
they
many
have
things.
so many weird things there. So story time. I was listening to a podcast one time, and it was along the same vein, like cryptid podcasts and stuff, where people will write in their stories and everything. And this guy is like, someone wrote in and was explaining this story, and then they said that they were in Virginia, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, and then it kept going, and then it said, when I was in college, I made this movie about these black-eyed kids, and I remember this story from just talking to Justin and randomly, and the random podcast that I was listening to, Justin had written in, and they're like reading his story in Texas, and so it was like this weird. I texted him immediately. I was like, "Bro, you're on this podcast." It's so cool.
That's so funny.
So I would like you to start us out with that. Just throw the darn cat. There's a cat that just got on the table.
got
if you're
it.
not watching
Wow,
YouTube.
Steven, no
It's actually a
swearing on the
free
pod.
giveaway if you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But you have to share it.
Sasquatch food.
So yeah, the woods behind your house growing up.
So I have two stories. One, so this is before like I knew the like Bigfoot was a thing, right? The first story is my dad, he rented a ton of property behind my house. He used to it's a bunch of fields that he was using for hay because we had cows that my grandmother owned on her farm. So we would cut the fields and bale them up and use it to feed the cows at my grandmother's farm. And this is like over 1,000 acres of land, but it's like fields all surrounded by trees, right? And I must have been 11 or 12 at the time, and I would go back there by myself and just explore, right? That was just something I love to do. I love to just go in the woods and just look around and stuff or whatever. I pretend like I was deer hunting or something as a 12-year-old, yeah. And I remember one time I saw this like stack of sticks and like trees, and it looked like a giant bird nest, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and climb up this thing and see
When you
what's
say
inside.
like a giant bird nest, I'm sorry to cut you off. Like how big? Like the size of this
Like,
room, or
I was a 12-year-old kid, and it was bigger. I had to climb over. It looked like it was in the middle of the woods, and it looked like a bulldozer pushed these down or something. Like it all came together. It was big enough where I had to climb over to get inside of it. Right?
like you couldn't see over it.
No, I couldn't see
Okay.
in the middle. Right?
Okay.
It just looked like a giant bird nest in the woods, and I thought that was really interesting. So I started climbing up it. Just I don't know, being a kid,
12 years old, yeah.
right?
Thunderbird.
And when I
Yeah.
got on top, the inside of it were like 2 or 3 mangled up deer carcasses, right? And it was like, okay, that creeped me out. And like, I'm a 12-year-old kid. I'm in Virginia. I'm thinking, oh, this is either a bear or a cougar or a wolf, you know? And so, like, I got down. I was a little nervous, but I was like, okay, I don't see anything around. And, like, I only live maybe half a mile away. I can get back to the house if I have to. So I'm okay. So I was like, I'm going to just continue exploring. And, like, not even maybe 100 feet from this giant, like, nest was, like, this giant, I wouldn't say giant. It was much smaller. It's probably about chest high. It was like a dirt mound, right? And I walked over to the dirt mound, and I'm just like looking on one side. I walk to the other side of the dirt mound, and there's a hole that leads right into the middle of the earth, right? And the hole was,
Can you explain what you mean by that?
so like it was just a dirt mound with like it looked like it was dug in and a hole leading into the ground, right? If you watch the movie Path of the Beast, there's a scene where he looks and he sees that dirt mound was like the inspiration for like that scene there. Because like I remember seeing that and thinking, oh my gosh, that's big enough that I could fit in there as a 12-year-old kid. There's dead carcasses over here. There's something in these woods that are living here and like killed these things. So I better get out of there. And for a long time, I would not go back to those spots because it just creeped me out.
Yeah.
And probably like a year or so around that time, my dad rented the movie Legend of Boggy Creek. And I remember watching that thinking, oh, shoot, Bigfoot's out in the
Nice
woods.
self-edit right there. That was good.
Bigfoot's out in the woods, and that's responsible for all these weird things that I saw. But, yeah, so, you know, in all reality, it could have been some I lived at this the house that my dad used to own. We purchased it, and I lived there, and I've gone back there since. And the mound is still there, but it's kind of like faded out and it's filled in. The nest is completely gone. And, I do see black bears occasionally in my yard and stuff, so it could be a bear that was living back there. But I just remember that was so frightening, and just thinking like, oh, could be a Bigfoot creature back there, like making these things or doing these things. Like, so that's always stuck with me. And that's kind of what inspired me to get into the whole Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah. Dude,
so crazy.
That's kind of a crazy story.
Is that when you say that the mound in the movie, is that like a bunker looking thing?
Yeah, he kind of like looks into it, and then like there's like
like,
eerie
it's
music.
a Bigfoot bunker.
Yeah, like eerie music playing, and I was
Yeah.
gonna put like eyes or something in there, but I just didn't have the capability of doing it, so I just left it alone.
So plug your movie first of all while we're here.
Yeah, after seeing The Legend of Boggy Creek, I was like, first of all, that spiraled me down to like Bigfoot lore, and I'm like, oh man, I want to make a movie, something like that, something like I just want to make my own Bigfoot movie. So, it just that inspired me to make Bigfoot Path of the Beast, and like the opening of it. It pays a little bit of montage to the movie, because the opening of Boggy Creek, you get like all the...
That's what we were watching, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is Walking Dead meets Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yeah, so so the other story that I have that I shared on there, the podcast you referenced earlier. So the first movie I made was called Black Eyed Children Let Me In, and it's based on the Black Eyed Children lore. Dan, you're going to appreciate this one.
Yeah, I know nothing about this. I
So-
wanted to watch it last night and learn it, but
Wait,
I had
you
to
don't
leave.
know the
Yeah, he
lore?
had to leave early.
No, I've always seen the cover of your movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is creepy looking.
You're not
So
gonna
that's-
like this.
That's actually the cover is at the time it was my sister. She was 9 at the time. So that's my
Is
sister.
she healed?
Yeah. She's
She
been
found her
cleansed.
eyeballs.
But anyways, no, it's funny because people will take that picture from the film and they'll use it on their podcast or their YouTube. So she's like all over the internet because
Are you
of that.
serious?
Yeah.
Do
That'd
they
be so
use-
weird.
Ask you
when
for
I
that,
when I go
or-
to, no they don't. When I go to conferences or conventions, people recognize the picture right away and they're always like, oh yeah, I've seen that, and I'm like, yeah, it's actually from the movie.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But let me go ahead and set up the Black Eyed Children lore for
All
you.
right, cool.
Okay, so you're home alone. It's dark out, right? Just like it's kind of getting dark here.
Mm-hmm. It's getting there.
And you hear a knocking at the door, and you go to answer the door. And
Speaking of which, we're about to get a knock. So we're
Oh,
gonna
boy.
break and we'll come back in 30
Has she been
seconds
out
or
there
so.
for 18 minutes?
I don't know, but I just saw her walking up the driveway.
Oh, yep, there she is. She looked at me.
We're gonna double that up. I apologize for the interruption, but we're back. You were setting up Black Eyed Kids.
so Dan's home alone by himself. It's dark out, and like Dan's like, oh man, I got the evening to myself. It's gonna be a great night. Here's a knocking at the door, and he's like, that's weird. Can I get They didn't see the.
That almost set
Doorbell?
off the dog.
He goes to answer the door, and there's a kid there, right? And the kid has like a weird request. They'll ask you for like a drink of water or to use your phone. Something trying to get you to invite them in.
Seems like a normal kid request.
Well, your first thought is
Right.
like, oh, it's a kid. Maybe there's something going on here. But then you get that fight or flight sensation like kicks in. Like, oh man, there's something not right here. And then you realize this kid's eyes are black or completely void. So you like shut the door and look out the window, and the kid's gone.
Dang.
So there's a bunch of stories out there where people have encountered the black-eyed children. And that's like the stereotypical one, is that the knocking at the door, you answer the door, the kid's there, and then they're gone.
This is like a
Is this-
ghost story. This is true, not a documentary or anything.
Is this
This
worldwide?
This is like stories that people were sharing on Creepypasta. They were sharing their experiences with the black-eyed children. That's where these kind of took off. There is one story that was... what year was the first Mortal Kombat movie out? That occurred. Listen, the reason why it's important.
There's no better gauge of time for Justin Snyder than
than
the first
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat.
Was it 1996?
It's 94, 96,
Stuart?
one of them.
96 or 97? Because there was a journalist who was outside of a movie theater, and he recalls like the movie at the time that was playing was Mortal Kombat, and
Annihilation or the first one?
the
So that's
first
a big-
one,
that's a-
not the second.
okay.
I think the second one was straight to DVD or VHS back then. But anyways, he was in the parking lot during the showing of that movie, and he's in his car, and these kids come up and knock on his door asking him for a ride. And at first he's like, I'm not going to give you a ride. And then that's when he realizes he sees these kids are all, their eyes are completely black or completely void. And that's like the very first story that someone shared about their black-eyed kid experience. But yeah. But anyways, so I thought like it's such a scary premise that it sets itself up just for like somebody needs to make a horror film about this.
All right, so I'm sure people have let them come in. So then what happened?
It was 95, by the way.
95 people?
Yep.
There you go.
No,
1995.
1995.
Dang, a whole squad.
The year.
85 kids trying to get in.
Something's definitely off.
Yeah, so no, there's a book by David Weatherly out called The Black Eyed Kids, and there's 2 versions of the book. They just released a new edition with more stories, but the majority of the stories they're not let in. There was one story where this lady was at a gas station. She was pumping gas, and she had her son in the back seat, and she gets back in the car. And she's driving away. She looks in the rearview mirror. The son's back there, and then she sees another kid back there. She turns around, ends up being a kid with all completely black eyes or completely void eyes. So she pulls over the car. She pulls her son out and goes running out of the car, like screaming because she thinks she just saw a demon, right? She calls her husband. Her husband comes, checks the car, and the kid's not there. And the husband's like, well, okay. She's like, I'm not going back in that car. I'm going to take the car that you drove in. So she's driving her husband's car. The husband's driving the car that the black-eyed kid was in, and he ends up wrecking that car on the way back home. And then they continue the story. They think that the kid in the back seat was trying to tell them that he invited the kid in because the kid wanted to come home and play with him.
Oh, so the kid invited the kid.
So
And did the dad die or survive the crash?
The dad didn't die. Nobody died. The kid was like off and on sick, but there's nothing else happened other than that. Yeah.
did they say why he crashed the car?
No, didn't go in full details
Yeah.
there. It's just like he crashed the car.
Texting and driving.
Yeah, probably.
Exactly. Hammered drunk.
Oh yeah. Oh man. But and the last conference I was at, and the guy, he was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen these things before," and he was sharing his story. He was going out on a walk with his dog, and he's like, "There's this kid, like he's on this dog park, and it's like a wooded area, and he's like, there's this kid in the wood, crying, talking to himself, saying, I don't want to do this, I want to go home." And he says when the kid turned around, the kid's eyes were completely black or completely void, and he's like looking, and then the dog just kind of freaks out. He grabs his dog and just leaves. He's like, "Yeah, I've seen one of these things before."
Whoa.
Dang. So
Poor kid was just wearing sunglasses and needed to get home.
would they say they look pretty much like the picture on your movie?
Yes. Yep.
So creepy.
Yeah, so like the theories with those are that they're like alien human hybrids and that or they're demons because like they follow that vampire lore, like you have to invite them in for some reason, or they're asking you to come in your home. That's why it's like weird that they have weird questions like that. I always it sounds demonic to me. Like you need permission to come in, and it's like a kid, so it's trying to deceive you, but it can't fully deceive you because of the eye thing.
Yeah, it's like the
And then
innocence.
they get really aggressive when you say no, right?
Right, they're pushy and it's not a good experience.
Has anybody ever been munched by one?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, the demons are tied. They can't yet.
They can't munch.
They can't munch yet.
Yeah,
Give them
dude.
time. So you made this movie.
So, during the pre-production of the film, I was writing the script, and I remember, like I said, I'm researching all these things, and with everything, the more you look into it, I feel like the more likely it's going to look back at you. And I remember I lived with my grandparents at the time, and they would go on vacations all the time. And I was home by myself, and I'm writing the script on my laptop, and I would just hear this constant on one of the windowsills in the house. And it freaked me out, and I was just there was no way I was going to go outside and see if there was something out there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's jump on YouTube.
Sounds like a black-eyed kid.
Yeah. We'll watch some videos and get it off my mind, and I'd go back to the script, and it would just come right back
Oh man.
as soon as I got and I was like,
creepy?
okay, I can't write this at night anymore, and I had to put it away for a long time, just to distance myself from it. 'Cause
This is the documentary we were talking about, right? Well,
no.
Or Sasquatch movie.
No.
This is the
This
Black
is
Eyed
Black Eyed
Kids.
Kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
We have a shirt for you that has the Black Eyed Kids on
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
it. Sponsor of the pod, Justin.
there you
Hey,
go.
one day we'll have merch.
Well,
We'll send it over.
Yeah, we're getting to it.
Bend up.
oh no, you're good.
Oh,
I know, the shirts are here.
oh yeah.
Oh,
I brought you a shirt.
I think he means like
I meant
we'll have
Oh,
merch
gotcha,
to give to you.
I thought you were
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
send the shirt over. I was like, we're already here.
Immediate
I appreciate
courier
it.
service.
We
Yeah,
should have all worn it.
we were all.
How
we were
long?
all-
How long did it take you to shoot Black Eyed Children?
So like I wasn't out to make a full film. I was just like messing around in college because I was doing a bunch of student films. I was like, I can do this. This is easy. No, it's not easy at all. But I was like, I was just like putting it together piece by piece. It probably took me about like 2 years to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did Path of the Beast take you to make?
I started Path of the Beast in 2015 and I finished it in 2019. So it took me 4 years.
And so we were talking about this before. You start the movie clean cut, and then the next. I'm not going to divulge anything about the movie, but you look a little raggedy there afterwards. Did you start raggedy and then clean cut for the one or two?
Oh yeah, because I was like, dude, once I cut all this stuff off, I was like, everything else has to be finished first. So that was like the last thing we filmed.
Is that
I remember being like super tired too, and like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, so yeah,
Nice.
That's
yeah.
so funny. So
Yeah.
you just had super long hair for 4 years.
yes. Well, no, okay. So some of that was like pre-production,
Oh, I guess,
like
yeah, you
writing
have
the
to do all
script, getting the team built. That was very important. I went through some different people trying to figure out like who's going to gel greatly. Because I mean, every independent movie that gets made is a miracle. Like the amount of work that you have to put into it from beginning to end is so much. Like everything has to be brought together, and the movie gets made 3 times. It gets made on the script, it gets made when you're filming it, and then it gets made in the editing room. It changes 3 times.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
yeah.
So yeah, how do you get?
Time out.
Sorry.
Before we move on to the path, I need to bring up in Black Eyed Children. We were watching it. Stuart and I were watching it last night.
Sorry, Stuart.
There's a scene where you're interviewing this dude at an empty lake, and on the wood line behind him, there's like a glowing orb.
Yeah,
What is that?
that's a glowing orb. It's a
But
Black
did-
Eyed Kid, man.
Did you put it there?
No. Dude, okay, so they drained that lake. I
Yeah.
was by my girlfriend's house at the time,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I'm putting this in the movie, like high production value. We're gonna make it."
Yeah.
And like I incorporated in the story and stuff. I was making a lot of that stuff up on the whim there. So for that film, but yeah, no, we didn't. That wasn't added in there. It was just in
What
there.
is that? Who knows?
Who knows?
Dude, I knew it.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's just an orb?
Dude, look at it.
I haven't. I haven't
You need
seen
to
it.
watch that and just
Yeah.
pay attention to that scene.
That dude was really cool, by the way.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
seemed
he was
cool.
awesome. But no, I did. No,
Yeah.
I
okay.
wouldn't put too much. I mean, it could be something funky too. That camera I was using was not the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, now we can move
Just
on.
like a
Now
sunspot thing. In the beginning credits, we're doing Boggy Creek style.
Mm-hmm.
One of the names is a guy we played softball with. Awesome dude.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see him in the whole movie. Was he in a suit of some sort?
Yes.
I knew it.
Yep.
So cool.
Oh, yeah. I had
How many-
three different actors playing 3 different Bigfoot.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, great. Now everyone knows that there's
Wow.
a Bigfoot in it.
It is called Bigfoot Path of the Beast. I originally had it named Path of the Beast, and I was worried that people wouldn't find it because like I would throw Bigfoot in there. So
you
that-
go.
100%. Bigfoot's the key word.
What is, without spoiling anything in the movie, why did you name it Path of the Beast? Because this is another thing we were talking about. Like,
It just sounded cool.
I love that answer.
I was like, oh man, Path of the Beast. The original concept, because I used to be part of a screenwriting group, and we'd meet like once every week, and we'd write scripts for each other, and we'd all sit down and read the scripts. My first concept of Path of the Beast was like this action flick where it was just like, oh man versus Bigfoot the entire time, and it kind of changed over time. Because I was like, well, I don't want to make it just like a typical monster movie. I was like, let's give it a little bit of humanity to it, and make it weird, like all the Bigfoot stuff. Trying to throw as much Bigfoot lore in there as possible.
yeah.
So
And the subtle shout out to David P. That was pretty sweet.
there you go.
And then I really liked that you added the self-doubt aspect of it. You know what I mean? I was hoping that would go like further, but I thought you did a good job with that aspect. Not to again ruin it. Go and check it out.
You're starting to
Path of
give
the
some
Beast.
spoilers.
Oh no, you're good. I
I
wanna
think
give
everyone
spoilers so
that
bad.
deals with Bigfoot has self-doubt. You know, that's like a common trope. It's like, am I going insane? That's why it's
Right.
good that when you see it in pairs or something.
Yeah.
Like if you see a Bigfoot crossing the street and you're driving down the road, not like cross the road, not the street. 'cause
Your
you know,
wife
you
saw
kinda-
one going down the road.
Dude, my wife did. She saw something. Yeah.
She saw a monkey in the woods.
Have I told this story yet?
She told us.
She
Oh,
told
okay.
us, but not
But
on the
not-
pod.
So, in the woods where we grew up, ish. I think I may have told you about
So
it.
after you told me that story, I have a buddy who's in the Marines, and he like me and him went out to Summer Duck, and we like looked.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
we did it a couple of times. We went one time just at night, and then one day it was snowing. I was like, okay, let's go in the snow because when it snows, it's really easy to see because the light just bouncing off of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like we were like putting cat food out there and everything, They're, like following her, and like it's so funny because like I had my camera with me and I'm like playing with it, and like as soon as we walk in the woods like 10 feet in, we just hear like a tree get falling down. And we're like,
So what's the game plan if you've run into one?
dude, I just want to see it and be like, yep, it's real. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too close or it's coming at me.
Sasquatch
Then
like,
I'll be-
Yeah.
Right away.
Book it. In those same woods, I was a youth pastor for a long time. One of my youth kids was playing airsoft in those same woods, and they saw, he called it Stickman, but it was like not like, so I've heard some people talk about, it's like literally just like a stick figure that's kind of walking around thing. But this is like kind of like a very skinny Groot is how he was explaining it. And it like, he's like,
What is
pinned
it? What is Groot?
in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like a tree, an ent.
It's a walking tree.
Your big,
Oh,
yeah.
your
why
big
didn't you just say that?
Tolkien guy. So
But
he's
cuter.
like, he's bunkered down against this like fallen over tree, and this stick man thing just like leans over the tree and looks at him like directly above him kind of thing, and they just book it. And I've never heard of any cryptid like that before or anything since, and I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And so I kept trying to like
That is a
hammer
weird
down
one.
his story, but he's like a 14-year-old kid, so he's just kind of all over the place. But in the years since, I've talked to other people that were there, and they completely said, yeah, that was legit, and I don't know what it was. And
They
it was freaking-
corroborated the story.
Dude, like,
Other 14-year-olds?
at this point, when I just went on the Guatemala mission trip, one of the kids there was part of his friend group, and I was asking him, had he ever told you that story? He's like, dude, I was there, and I saw it. It was crazy.
14-year-old?
He was like 20 at this point. But yeah,
What?
How big was it?
I don't know, but he was like maybe 8 feet tall. I think. is what
8
he-
feet?
Something. It was like a giant stick man. I don't know. He
Was
drew
it
his-
Slender Man?
No, it wasn't Slender Man.
Okay,
I
that's
tried to
good.
get that out of him. Yeah. That's another thing. You were talking about creepy pasta and like tulpas. Do you know what tulpa? I'm sure you do. Dan, do you know what a tulpa is?
Never heard of it.
So it's like a thought form, basically. So you think of, I don't know, talking frogs in cloaks. And so you make this lore about frogs in coats or whatever.
What?
And then eventually,
I've never heard of that.
the demons.
The more it's like the collective thought will bring something into existence. Like kind of like Freddy Krueger. The more people believe in Freddy Krueger, the more likely he is real.
That's a lot better way to explain it. So it's the thought form.
And it was quick.
Yeah, way better than me.
It's gonna take 10 minutes for him
And
to
so
get through it.
Slenderman, it was entirely, we know the exact day, the first post that anyone ever posted of Slenderman on Creepypasta. So it's entirely made up. But then there are people that are actually seeing Slenderman and murdering people because Slenderman's telling them and all these things. So it's like, it could be a thought form that just manifests itself into this dark energy. It could be a demon that is observing us talk about Slenderman, like, I can do that. And they become Slenderman or whatever. And so like the dark-eyed,
Assigned himself to a concept.
yeah,
Right.
black-eyed kids
I'll be a
could be
frog
the
in a
same,
coat.
same deal.
Right.
It's crazy. There's so many weird things.
That is crazy.
So many weird things about it.
So you've done a little bit of Sasquatch hunting. Have you ever been in Shenandoah National Park looking around?
I have.
Did you? Where did? Well, you don't have to give exact locations, but did you do any research on where to go?
So, I usually I ask my friend Daniel Benet, who's the Virginia Bigfoot researcher, and he
Friend of the
usually
pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon to be when Justin finds out what it's called.
Yeah. And he goes to all the national parks between Virginia and West Virginia. And I mean, he finds stuff. He finds a ton of footprints, but usually they're kind of small. Yeah, I mean,
They're at the beach.
yeah, no. They're usually in the woods, but it's like mud and it's usually very small. And I'm always like, because I feel like raccoons, they have a very
Right.
finger-like, so they can leave pretty good impressions.
Bears
but,
also leave
yes,
very human footprint.
where did I go with my friend, the Marine? We went to,
Summer duck. We've already been through that.
no, we went to Summer Duck, but we went somewhere else too, and we found a ton of, because it was muddy where we were at, a ton of where the bear walked and it slid and it looked
Right.
like a Bigfoot print, but it's obvious that it was a bear.
Yeah.
We saw like 1,000 of those prints, and I was like, okay, so this is really hard to determine what's a Bigfoot print and what's a bear, because
Right.
hey, there's a bear track here, Bigfoot slide track here, and then but it's a bear.
Bigfoot was riding a bear.
Or that.
Sure.
So
Like a bear on a scooter.
that's the only time you've gone squatching, or you said you
I've gone maybe a collective of about 4 or 5 times.
squatching is when you go look for sasquatch.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you got the context. Have you encountered or seen or had any weird occurrences while you're going for it?
So when I was filming a documentary with Daniel Benet, who's the Virginia Bigfoot researcher,
Front of the pod.
yeah, he runs like every year he does like a camp out, and he invites people that had experienced Bigfoot or had encounters of Bigfoot. So he invited me out, and like I said, we're shooting this documentary, so I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity to get some people's stories that I can throw in the doc. And while we're out there filming, we hear like a stick break, right? So Daniel's like, oh, what's that? And Daniel has this heat sensor, what do you call it?
A FLIR.
Infrared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's in there looking through that. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let me grab my camera. And as I'm doing this, like something screamed at us. Like it sounded like a wild like bobcat or something. I can't explain it. It was wild though. And you just hear me laughing on camera because I was like, so this just really happened. So yeah, that's another thing. If a Bigfoot ever like came after me, I'd probably just die laughing. Like this is
I can't believe
out
the
of the
camera
suit.
was not rolling.
Me and some
Dead.
friends have been chased by a mama black bear once, and I remember like I was laughing. I turned around, and both my friends had like the dread of like, oh man, this is happening. And I'm like, oh, we should run.
You got chased by a mom
So
black bear?
we were hiking, and out of the corner of my eye, I just saw it looked like a monkey just jump up into the tree, and it was a cub, and we scared the crap out of the cub. And on the other side of the path was Mama Bear, and she just come chugging, like, and I'm like, oh, like it looked like a giant. It looked like your lab basically, but it was a bear coming at us, and I was like,
How far did you have to go before it gave up on you?
So we were hiked, I think like 7 miles in, and this is a 30-mile hiking trip. And we hiked like a mile back, and we were like, either we go 6 miles to get back to somewhere where we can get a ride, or we just figure a way to go forward and figure out where we go from there. So we got a bunch of rocks and stuff, and we were making noise and screaming. People probably thought we were wild, and kept marching forward. But it was supposed to be like a 3-night, and we decided after seeing the black bear that we'll just make it a 2-night adventure.
Yeah.
A lot of black bears in our stories lately.
Yeah, kind of. We had a guy on the pod a couple weeks ago told us some black bear stories.
In Japan, though.
In Japan, yeah.
Oh wow.
They're there as well. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I was like just 10 o'clock in the morning one morning, and I was like loading my car, and one just ran like right across my yard, and I was like, oh, that's nice, with all the kids out in the front yard, and I didn't even see it there at first. I just saw it running away. I'm like, oh, that was in
Yeah.
our yard.
Yeah, it's
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah. I'm really bummed that like we're kind of in the country at my house and never had one in
One was just walking in front of me down the road like 3 weeks ago,
Unbelievable.
which I was telling you last night.
In this neighborhood?
Right before I hooked up my camera on my car,
Classic.
like the day before.
My
Classic.
in-laws live like 5 minutes from here, like more in the forest, and they get bears going in their garbage and stuff all the time. I'm like, golly, dude, I just can't catch a break. And obviously, like, I don't want my dog to get attacked by a bear or anything, but it would be cool to have a bear come in your yard. We get like skunks and stuff, but that's about it.
Not as cool.
Steven told me something about Bob Gimlin.
Yes.
Are you allowed to talk about
Do
that?
we know who Bob Gimlin is?
I know it's
Wait, yeah.
Let's set up Bob
If Dan
Gimlin.
knows who Bob Giblin is, we
Hold
can
on.
move on.
Is it the Sierra Sounds guy?
No.
No. Dang it. No, but it's another legendary.
He's
I've
cool.
heard the name at least.
That
I don't know.
guy's really cool, by the way.
Talk to him.
Ron Moorhead.
Have
yeah.
you met him?
No, I had to ask for permission to use his sounds on the
Dude,
movie.
that's what I was
so
gonna
I
say.
emailed him,
yeah.
and he was like, "Dude, just show me what you got." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Yeah, you can use him."
Did you watch the whole movie?
No,
Or is it
I
just
just
like
sent
the
him the
intro?
credits. I didn't want to send him
Oh.
the whole movie. Like, this is stupid beginner crap. You know what I mean? No. So, yeah, the first conference I did was the Horror Hound out in Indianapolis, and they had a science fiction or nonfiction's kind of portion of it with the horror convention on the other side. So somehow or another, I just got a lucky draw where my booth was right next to Bob Gimlin. So Bob Gimlin is known for the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is that famous 1967
The
footage.
most famous.
I thought that was the same. I thought that's where the sounds came from.
Oh my goodness, Dan.
Bro, both in California, so
Oh, yeah.
not bad.
Well, yeah. Okay. Sierra Mountains.
Not the same thing, though.
Well, I know the film.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
So, and so I was there an hour early. Bob Gimlin was there an hour early, and he's just sitting, and he's just the kindest, sweetest old man I've ever met. And the dude's just like great personality. And then I'm very oh, I'm gonna feel this guy and see if he's lying, But let me just talk to him. And I didn't talk to him about Bigfoot. I wanted to talk to him about just regular life stuff. The guy's a cowboy, and he reminds me of my dad, just that old school way of thinking. So we're talking about horses and stuff, and he just brought up the encounter, and he's like, it caused me so much grief. And I remember this being a common story back in the day, when you saw the PG film in the 90s on TV, Bob never talked to or did interviews. And the reason why is because it caused him more grief than anything. He said he's like, I almost lost my wife or my marriage because of the criticism I took. So, that made me think well, man, this guy, what he saw has to be, because he never profited off of it like Patterson did. And he took a lot of flack for it for a long time, refused to talk about it, and really didn't find his audience going to these conventions and stuff until later on in his life, which is kind of crazy. But so it's there's two things going on here. Either it's real, what they saw out there is 100% legit, and Gimlin's telling the truth, or Gimlin's just hiding this secret to, I guess, keep his friend Patterson's story relevant, right?
Right.
Yeah.
or the third option is that they were trolling Bob.
But I don't know. I don't think
If he's thinking it's real, but they're making this hoax and getting this wholesome guy to kind of validate, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Trolling them for years.
Well, they're dead.
Yeah, and
so.
Patterson's gone, so all the way
Ultimate
to
troll.
the end of his life. Yeah.
So when the
Ultimate troll.
Patterson kind of took Gimlin out of the picture for a long time. He hired another guy to pretend he was Gimlin when he was trying to get the film going. And this is another, I don't know, do you know about the frame rate with the film? So the story is that they're out there shooting a documentary about searching for Bigfoot, right? Mm-hmm. And because there was footprints in that area, so they thought this is a great place to go. Bob Gimlin was a rodeo guy, and he was the guide that went along with Patterson, right? Patterson rented this camera, because back then you couldn't just own that gear; he had to rent it. And they're in there, and they see it, and he gets the camera, but his horse gets spooked. So when his horse gets spooked, he gets thrown off his horse. Patterson does. And he's able to get back to his feet and pull the camera out of the saddle. And he tried to hurry up and get the camera sat down to start recording to capture this thing. Mm-hmm. While he's doing this, Bob just grabs his gun, and he's pointing the gun right at the Bigfoot, right? And Peterson, when he goes to film, he accidentally changed the frame rate of the film that's being recorded on the reel. So there's this weird thing so I'll continue the story. But anyways, he's on the ground filming this thing. It's walking away, and Gimli has his gun on it, but he's also seeing that Peter Patterson's horse is starting to like leave. So he starts to go after the horse, and then Patterson's like, no, don't leave me, because he's kind of freaking out, right? And then the reel runs out because you only had a certain amount of time on those reel. So if they were going to fake it, because they shot a bunch of other stuff on that reel. It's not just that Bigfoot footage. There's other things on that reel. So if they were going to fake it, they would have only one shot to fake it. And if that shot was no good, then it was no good. And it was just weird, like a weird little detail that the camera rate was flipped differently than the rest of the film because he was pulling it out of the saddlebag and like in a hurry up to get the camera set and ready to record.
Was it a higher or a slower one?
I believe it was like a 24 for
Was it 30?
It was like 16.
That it switched to?
Yeah. It was like a really weird frame rate.
It's interesting.
I listened to the Astonishing Legends like 64-hour marathon about it thing. Dude, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then like we've talked about it before. We don't have to keep digging into it, but the costume design thing is crazy as well. So, yeah. So, what's your next project?
How many projects have you done so far? I only knew about the 2.
So I've collaborated with other filmmakers on different projects. There was a movie called Territory that did really well, and I was a producer on it, and I also played a small acting role on that film. And then let's see here, I have Black Eyed Children Let Me In, Bigfoot Path of the Beast, East Coast Bigfoot Organization. It's called Elusive Legend East Coast Bigfoot Research Organization. It's a documentary about the Virginia Bigfoot researcher Jenny Benet. And then what else did we do here? I just did a movie called Project Eerie that did really well, and yeah.
Sweet. Are they all on Amazon?
So a majority of the stuff that I have done is on Amazon. I usually push people to like Tubi because Tubi's like the biggest supporter of indie film guys right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay.
I wish I had known that. I went to Amazon.
Is that
you're good,
what
you're
the
good.
cool kids call YouTube, or is that a different?
Last night, Ben, he's like, all right, guys, we watching the second one. I was like, I don't know if I can. He's like, click. Shoot, man, I just rented it.
Sorry.
I just paid.
So
we watched it anyway.
Black Eyed Children Let Me In is on Amazon only. It's like Amazon exclusive.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Well,
So,
then I wouldn't have to
The
go
other
there anyway.
stuff is on everything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Tubi, I usually send people to because it's free. So
Is there a benefit to
Tubi's
being
free?
exclusive?
ad-based revenue.
Oh, okay.
Is there a benefit to being exclusive?
Yeah, so you're behind a paywall, so he has to rent it instead of somebody watching it for free on Tubi.
Got it.
I bought it.
Thank you.
I just
He didn't
wanted,
rent it.
Yeah, I wanted to have it.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
So, you're still getting royalties like constantly from
Yeah,
it?
and each project is being financed by the last project. So if I don't make enough money, there's no way for me to justify making another movie. I started gambling and doing a family-friendly film. It was like that should be the next step here and see how well that does.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like go watch the film, but be aware you probably shouldn't watch it with little kids.
Well, my kids watch it. They're always like, "Hey, Dad, I always get this. You remember you killed that Bigfoot? Where is it?"
Dude, it's really funny. Like Justin on social media and stuff would always be posting. Because he still has the suit, right? You still
I
have
bring it to me with me to conferences. And
So
stuff,
it's like 4th of July, and he just has a Bigfoot sitting in a lawn chair in his front yard, just holding a beer or something. It's
Yeah.
like-
I do when COVID was kind of going crazy and people were out of toilet paper. I just replaced the toilet in my house, so I had an old toilet that I stuck outside, and I put my Bigfoot on the toilet, and I had need toilet paper, please, and it was all spelled wrong, and some poor lady brought my Bigfoot some toilet paper and stuck it by his feet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I took it down after that. I felt bad.
That's amazing. That is so funny.
But yeah, I like to stick them up every now and then for like Halloween or something. But I'm always worried that somebody's going to steal it because those things. Like, I made the suits and everything, right? It cost me like $300.
You made those?
Yeah, to make them myself. So
was it just like sweatpants that you're glued fur
no?
on?
So
or-
I buy the costumes from like different, the actual fursuits I buy. But like the mask I make myself, and I have a mold that I created, and I buy the silicone build the silicone mold because the silicone sits flush on your face. You see those like fake old men. That's usually a silicone mask, opposed to a latex mask, which is too rigid, doesn't really sit flush on your face.
Interesting. So is it reusable?
I
guess
heard
it's
you talking
reusable.
about that in one of your YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dude.
You're awesome.
Dude, what the heck?
Is it what?
Dude, I was doing.
One of us did research.
I looked into it, man. I was all in.
You're awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
I sell them on Etsy, but I don't like making them because they're a pain in the butt to work. So when somebody messages me, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you look for
Twice.
like a good costume, they're super expensive. Like most of them are like rentable, and it's like $2,000 just to rent it for a week.
Whoa.
Like a really good one.
Yeah, one of my friends
Wow.
did rent one, but I guarantee you didn't spend $2,000.
Probably wasn't a good one then, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a gorilla suit.
Well,
So,
Well, that's not the same.
Sasquatch
thing,
isn't a
is it?
gorilla. We've already been over this.
or is it?
It's Gigantopithecus, dude.
It might be.
Could be a baby bear.
Could be.
I mean, I don't know. It's like the word I know to say.
It wasn't so much like the Topa thing, but there was like a theory that like it's you know how like people see ghosts and stuff, that like Bigfoot's a ghost of Gigantopithecus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or you know some modern humanoid that people see.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool concept.
That's
Very
wild.
interesting.
What do you think of like Makili and Bembe? I'm just gonna start. Like,
Dude, there's some weird stuff out there,
Shooting
man.
weird-
Yeah, I don't know. I
Can you
heard about
refresh?
like
Can you refresh my memory on what that is?
the dinosaur.
he's got it.
The dinosaur.
Well, I
So
know
they're
he
like-
gets it, but
What's the
maybe
I
dinosaur
was gonna say
story?
he'll tell you what it is.
Oh,
So
okay,
these
gotcha.
these researchers or people are in this African village and they're showing these kids like this animal book, and so it's like lion, and they're like, oh, and they say their name for it or whatever, and they're going through and just haphazardly there was a stegosaurus or a,
So the
Take it away.
People were seeing this. It's a long necked dinosaur, basically, but like a smaller version of what a long necked dinosaur is, right? And what they were doing was because people were saying, "Oh yeah, we know where this thing lives. It's like deep in the jungle where people die from getting eaten by plants and stuff." But anyways, they were showing the village people the different pictures of animals, and like Stephen was saying, they'd recognize their natural animals. Like, oh yeah, this is a lion. We've seen a lion before. We know what that looks like. They'd show them a white-tailed deer. We don't know what that is. They don't have white-tailed deer, so they didn't recognize that. They show them a picture of a brontosaurus. Oh yeah, that's I can't even say it.
Makili and Bembe.
Yeah, thank you.
wait, no, go ahead and say it. I want to hear you say it.
I remember
Adam
get it.
Sandler joined the pod.
Yeah. The Killer Bembe. I got it. That's probably the closest I got.
Close.
Yeah.
So he's
But
like,
yeah, there's
And how long ago was that? Because I want to go check it out.
so the jungle swallows everything alive. Apparently there's been stories about like they build buildings out there and then they get abandoned and the jungle eats them up within months. Where they're just gone. So where
this is in the Congo, right?
yeah. So where this thing is like based out of, it's almost impossible to get to it.
But these people can get back in there pretty easy. The locals.
Well, the locals, because they're like where they hunt and stuff. They probably they're eating monkeys, right? So they're chasing monkeys and stuff like that. So where they're going, it's like super remote, and like they've offered to take people in there, but just us Westerners, we won't survive.
Yeah.
We just get eaten by the bugs, man.
Yeah. I believe that.
What country is that?
I think it's in the
Congo.
Congo.
Oh, you said Congo.
Yeah, I believe.
Republic of Congo.
Never been.
Same.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And eaten by plants.
I'm just joking about that. But
Oh.
yeah,
There's fly trap or fly
So I know there's
eater
like
plants.
places out there
They
where
have giant ones.
the rainforest will just have like it looks like land, but underneath of it is just like water, right? So it's like everything's floating. It's like a floating island basically, but underneath there is like hell. It's like where all the giant snakes and stuff live. Like yeah.
Dude, it's so
There's a
scary.
dude in the Amazon. Is that what you said? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. That what's that guy's name? He did Rogan a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's the dude that was saying that
He said he jumped on an anaconda
and took him to hell.
and he like couldn't get his arm around, like his arms around it. It
Oh
was
my
like
gosh.
huge,
Oh
and he
my
was just like riding it around for a second. Then I guess he came off or something. But yeah,
That's insane.
it's a crazy landscape.
Dude, that's like Ark. in real world.
Yeah.
Great game.
Should look up that.
How
guy's
are
name.
you in like conspiracy theories?
It depends, man.
Like, what's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oof.
Don't just say Bigfoot because you've already.
Yeah. My favorite one. I think they're all real, so it's not conspiracy theories to me. Just kidding.
I mean, conspiracy facts.
So, I mean, I like the UFO stuff, but I can't figure out where to land with that. So yeah,
Preferably not in Roswell. That was gold, guys. Come on.
So I will say that my favorite conspiracy theory, just going back off the alien things, is that they're ancient technology that we have, our government has, and that's how we get most of our technology now.
Yeah.
The whole
Like the Watchers. Do you know about that?
No, maybe I do.
Well, it's like goes back into like the Book of Enoch and
Yes.
angelics, knowledge givers and stuff, and it was the same people were the Greek gods that gave them the knowledge and stuff like that. So
Was it the Anunnaki or whatever? Is that what
Anunnaki?
you're Anunnaki,
Yeah.
yeah.
Same through lines. I think different names for different civilizations and stuff. But yeah, like the ancient batteries that they found in the Middle East and stuff. It was like,
The whole like that. You brought out Joe Rogan. The
Probably
impact
a lovely
theory,
shot for the camera.
where like there was this old. We advanced differently with older technology, but the Earth was like destroyed, and then the humans who survived became very like.
It's called the Younger Dryas Impact Theory.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
so go ahead and say it. What?
So about 12,000 years ago, they think an asteroid hit the Earth, just like resetting civilization. We were down to like 5,000 people alive on the planet.
So like we had this we advanced differently. Like we had like the pyramids were built by these advanced technology that we used to have, but then the Earth was destroyed by the Dryas Impact Theory. So we had it was like a reset button, and now we advanced differently, and our technology is different than what our ancestors had.
So it's like Black Panther Wakanda technology kind of thing, like that. Theory.
Yeah, something
like,
weird. Yeah.
I don't know any of this stuff.
Well, you don't need to. We've already been over.
okay.
You don't like comic books.
I don't get it.
So
I just want to be in.
I had through an off ramp with that and to bring it in, but I don't remember what it was going to be. You said,
Younger Dryas Impact.
yeah. So
Civilization.
Stargates.
Yeah.
Where are you at with Stargates?
I don't know enough about
Yeah,
that.
I'm with you on that. I don't
Back
know
on
enough
that
about
one.
I don't even know what it is. Just the
You're
TV
the
show.
person that got me onto Stargates, and now you're saying you don't know.
I don't know enough about it.
But it's like apparent along the lines of like the Tower of Babel and stuff. It's like they're supposed to be these portals from us to different dimensions and stuff like that, and that's what you see the Tolmec pyramids or the Egyptian pyramids or the what's the one the one they found in the 90s, the super advanced city that like blew out all the records and stuff in
Oh my goodness, that's right on the tip of my tongue.
I know.
In South America?
No, in like Turkey.
Istanbul.
Yes. No, I can't remember. Whatever. They're finding all these super old cities that are way more advanced than they're supposed to be when they're supposed to have happened, and they've only excavated like 10% of the city, and they found them in the 90s.
Right.
Shoot, I had it and then it ran away. Stu, you got it?
I think Graham Hancock is into that stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've heard him talk, but I don't know the name of it.
It supports his theory because, like, okay, how were these places destroyed, or what happened to these places?
Is that the same younger
Because,
dryers stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's along the same line, and like the Sphinx didn't originally have a pharaoh's head; it has a different. And that's why if you look at the Sphinx, the head looks super small because they carved out
Right.
whatever the original head was into this. And then you have the water erosion stuff, and you have the flood stuff. Dude, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's been a while since we've had a good conspiracy pod. So I
Also, we might be living in the middle of a conspiracy.
dude, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Dude, I don't know what you think about all this stuff with the Trump attempted assassination thing, but the more details that come out, like the more I'm like, man, something's really fishy about like the lapse with the Secret Service and stuff.
I've heard things. I just don't. like like I guess the head of the Secret Service right now is a female, and I heard some stories that like because of like like oh, we need to make 30% of our like there's a lack of good Secret Service because there's more focus on hiring certain people opposed to hiring the right people. That's
We about to be defunded.
yeah. No. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
yeah.
I just
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
I'm not
I've
saying
been
you're going to do
hearing.
that, but these two are going to get us down.
Oh, that's
Us.
fine.
Yeah. What are you talking about? You're the most sexist of us all. Whatever.
I didn't-
I almost
didn't say
turned that
that.
to like mean sexy, and it's just like not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a stretch.
So tell me, what are you hearing? Because it
So-
seems like there's new stuff
So
coming out
I
every
think
minute.
today the Secret Service said that they had flagged that rooftop,
They did.
and it's like you flagged it, but you didn't even get an officer up there. Just like
No, they watched the kid climb up the ladder.
yeah, it's like what are you doing?
He was like up there for 30 minutes before
30
even it
minutes.
started or something.
oh, I don't know about all
Or
that.
before they
timeline.
saw him
I
or
don't-
something.
He had to
that.
like climb a ladder to get up there.
Yeah.
They tagged it because they do like we look at it and we say, hey, this is a weak point, right?
Right.
So it was tagged as a weak point. So it's very odd that this was tagged as a weak point, but he was able to get up there and it wasn't monitored properly.
Right.
I heard the guy. I haven't looked at it since like the day after, but the sniper was like asking confirmation a couple of times if he could shoot, and wasn't getting confirmation. And then as soon as the shot was taken, then
He just
shot.
went for it.
Just went for it.
That's
Yeah, I'd heard that. I hadn't heard that as a verified thing.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of like 147 hours or whatever,
Oh,
where they're
yeah.
like forced to stand down kind of thing.
Wait, are you talking about the Hillary thing, basically?
Yeah.
Shoot, what is that movie called?
John Krasinski.
Isn't it 12 hour or something like that?
13 hours.
13 hours.
127 hours.
Secret
is
soldiers
the
of Benghazi.
guy in the
Yeah,
desert.
Benghazi.
right?
That's what it is.
Dang it.
That's the guy that was stuck between the two rocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, I was so lost for a minute. I was like, what the hell? It's like the guy that was stuck between a rock and a rock.
It's James Franco, right?
Yeah.
That was the first movie I saw John Krasinski jacked.
When he's not Jim.
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's like hanging out with Roy the whole time.
Dude, it was weird.
I was like,
But
these
it was
guys are
like
not
the,
supposed to be
the
friends.
coolest John Krasinski movie. It made me want to
dude.
grow a beard because he was just so manly with it.
Yeah.
He's like, you like John Krasinski?
He's
out.
all right.
Just get
He's
out.
all right. He married my girl, so I'm kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
jelly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just,
Who's he
Jenna
married to?
Fisher?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
He's like seemingly just the coolest guy though. Like I love John Krasinski.
I like the Quiet Place movies. I haven't seen the third one, but
I just watched it.
Was it good?
A lot more action.
oh, I wanted to ask you about Willow Creek. Have you seen that movie?
I got to see the premiere of that film.
What?
And Bobcat Gothwaite was there for that. Yeah.
What?
Dude, I got to see
Dude, I
the
told you you
premiere.
would have
I've
seen
seen all
this.
the so he shared a bunch of stories about it too, which was cool. But yeah, he went to the Bigfoot conferences and he's like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this thing, but he was kind of like me, where he's like, I've always been interested in it and I think it's real, so I just wanted to make a movie about it.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That was it's
Say
really
the movie
good.
again because I'm
What's
not
It's called
Willow-
Willow Creek.
Is that a new one?
No,
No.
14, maybe.
Yeah. Cause shortly after that one was the one by the guy that made the Blair Witch Project, and that one's really good too. Oh man, what's that?
I don't know that
Exist. Oh, you haven't
I
seen
haven't
that
seen
one?
that
Oh,
one.
I think I've heard that one.
That
it's like
one.
a horror movie. With,
Yeah, it's found footage, but it's really good, man. Yeah, that's
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Like
I'll check that out.
Willow Creek is like top 3. Exist is like number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You'll check it out.
I wonder if I've seen that or you just have told me about it before. I don't know. But
Kids go into the cabin and their uncle like abandoned it, and they didn't tell their uncle where they were going. Sound familiar?
Is this the one where
no, but I want to
they,
watch
like,
it now.
Where they're like running? Oh, dude, I think I've seen this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is good.
Yeah. It's
Damn.
creepy,
If it's
man.
what you think.
It
I
is
feel
creepy.
like I've seen it, but
The part that always gets me, because when I first saw the trailer for it, it's like I thought they used like CGI, but they didn't. It's all like practical, and like the parts that get me is like there's this. You see it in the trailer, the scene where it jumps on
all the way down. Yeah.
on the trailer that it pushes down a mountainside or whatever. Like that was cool, and then when it's chasing the dude on the bike, I don't know how they shot that, but that
Right.
was really really cool, man.
It is really good.
Yeah.
I thought for sure it was CGI.
No, that was all practical.
That's
it's
amazing.
so cool. I love like the documentaries on how they filmed the original Star Wars. Was like they wanted it to be a hovering car, and so they put like Vaseline on the lens to blur out the wheels and stuff like that. Kind of like practical
I didn't know that.
tricks of the movie magic is honestly is like so.
I feel like it'd be so much more fun being an actor back then.
Oh yeah. Well, now you're spending the
Yeah,
entire film in front of a
Yeah.
green screen.
Like a
You have no
weatherman.
idea
Yeah,
what-
with like a skin tight green suit on with a whole bunch of black dots all over you, just like hanging there. It's like, you know.
Riding a
I feel like
dude
you're specifically talking about Spider-Man.
pretending to be a horse.
I am. That's the one I've seen.
There's one.
Here's one.
Oh man.
But anyway, so anything else you want to talk about? Any other cool like cryptid stuff?
Cryptid stuff, man. I mean,
Or
we can-
anything,
we
whatever
got
you wanna
all
talk
day, man. Yeah, no, I was gonna say when you were talking about the Stargate stuff. Have you heard the like CERN thing or whatever?
The
The
what?
Super Collider and
Yeah.
how the world actually ended.
I didn't hear about the world ending, but I heard that they're doing something with the super collider, and it's causing like the different universes to like
Oh,
over each
interesting.
other,
And that's
lap
why
over
we're
each
starting
other.
to see all these like
the
weird.
Is this real?
Mandela effect is being caused by the CERN.
What is this super collider? Who has that?
Dude, it's in Texas, I think. And they created it's like a 2-mile long chamber thing where they create a black hole. And everyone's like,
That sounds like a good idea.
I was just
create-
reading about this.
don't create the black hole. It's not a good idea. And apparently they did it. And since then,
Who's in charge of this? Fauci?
yeah,
Yes.
Bill Gates. And so that's what we're talking about, like the Mandela effect and Shazam, Kazam, and everything like that is like you're saying, like the multiple universe and stuff. Another theory that I heard was they turned the super collider on and the world ended, and we're living in an alternate world now. Which gets me back to my theory that the world ended in the year 2000, and that's why everything still seems to everyone like if you say 20 years ago, you think of the 80s, and movies have not gotten any more real after 2000 than before. Like you can see, even watching Friends or something, you can tell when it's like in the 90s or versus in the 2000s. Like the difference of production value and stuff like that is like so explicit with that line of delineation. Dude.
I was reading a report about that black hole experiment because me and Lee were talking about it the other night, and it said it was like a millisecond when they turn it on and then turn off. So is it
Well,
still
you can't
going
do it
forever?
more than that.
Huh?
You can't do it more than that.
Why not? Then
Because
how are
you
the
get sucked
how are
in
the
the world.
universes squishing together?
Because it's just a millisecond. That's all you need. It's infinite gravity.
So it's
I don't
it's
buy
like
it.
a ripple that was sent across space time, right?
Ooh, okay,
And
the
so-
ripples. Yeah, I like
It's the
that.
theory.
Right, and so sometimes they overlap. Is that what I'm understanding?
No one knows.
Okay,
gotta
fair
be
enough.
a
I was
theoretical
hoping somebody would
physicist.
know something.
Dude, infinite
We need to get
gravity
Neil
is just
deGrasse Tyson
pulling
on.
all these dimensions together. It's just that fast, but it's infinite gravity. So it's the different dimensions, existence, planes of whatever it is like just shifting things. So it's not
How
a
do you
lot,
get
but enough
different
that we have
dimensions
like
in the first place?
I don't know 4 or 5 weird Mandela things that everyone knows. Do you know Kazam Shazam? Yeah.
Dude, I remember that movie. I'm like, I'm like that guy. I'm like, dude, I know this was real. I was like, I remember watching it because I was like, I don't know how I feel about the Sinbad guy because when I was a kid,
Right.
and that movie and like there's another movie where he protects like the
First kid.
yeah. Those are the 2 movies I remember him being in.
So
which is odd.
That's really funny.
I get those movies
texted
fixed all the
it was,
time.
It was the movie cover of Sinbad, the Shazam one.
Okay.
Shazam
You don't
Shack,
remember-
isn't it?
No, Kazam is Shaq.
Yes.
Yeah, Kazam's the one.
That's the
opposite.
Mandela thing.
Yeah, Kazam's the one that we've all seen that we all get confused.
I'm gonna pull this up because
Kazam Shack.
Kazam is Shaq. Shazam is Sinbad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. I remember the Shazam. I do not remember the Kazam.
well, the Kazam's the easier.
I've
one.
never watched Shazam.
The only movie I remember Shaq from was that Steel Man or Man Steel or something like that, where he plays like a superhero.
I don't know that
Yeah,
one.
he's got like a hammer and he's like in a metal suit.
Nice.
That's the movie. It's right there.
I've
But
never seen that cover.
People say it don't.
No,
Even talking to Sinbad, he said, "I never made the movie."
Yeah.
He went back and made like a fake scene about
Right.
it just to like play along
So
with
wait,
it.
who's
April
that guy
Fool's
then?
joke where he did
Jonathan
like
Taylor
a,
Thomas and Sinbad. But they're saying this movie never existed.
Dude, whatever happened to JTT?
Dude, he's still kicking.
Is he
He's just
around?
really short. he was in a bunch of episodes of Last Man Standing, whatever the Tim Allen,
Yeah.
the last one he came up
That's
with.
been years though, right?
That's like 8 years, maybe
Okay.
Probably 5 years.
Last Man
since-
Standing still going. What
Well, they
is
brought
this?
it back.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they did.
They did for a while at least.
Yeah.
I remember the last
It got
episode.
canceled,
He's like,
and then they brought it back on a
Right.
different network.
Mandela
maybe.
effect. You remember it ending?
I remember it ending.
It did end.
It was really cool how he did it too. Like he's like talking about a truck, but he's not actually talking about a truck, and he's like just angry about society and stuff. It was really
Oh
good.
wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
Tim Allen.
Tim
Who would
Allen.
think
Buzz Lightyear.
the best? He was ticked about the Lightyear movie with Chris Evans.
Oh, did they do a movie with Chris Evans?
Yeah,
It flopped. It was bad.
Well, good. It should.
yeah,
He was the voice instead.
yeah.
Did they offer it to him
I don't
No,
think so.
they went with Chris Evans.
Oh, that's insane.
because
Yeah.
of his conservative
No,
views?
I mean, that probably played a part in it, but I think it was probably just like we need a different face with this because it's like it's a different story. It's like
Yeah.
the real Buzz Lightyear story.
It's supposed to be
So
like
it's like a different
in the
toy.
movie of
Yeah.
Toy Story.
It's
The Buzz.
I love that. It's the real Buzz Lightyear story.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like
the prototype.
he has this toy based off of the movie that Andy saw, and so this is the movie that Andy saw.
Right.
And so like throughout the movie, you have like these little Easter eggs of like he'll say like Buzz Lightyear to the rescue, or like these all his little token
infinity
signs.
and
he's saying.
beyond.
Yeah. So he'll say that through the movie. It's a cool premise. I just didn't think the movie was very good.
Gotcha.
Did you like it?
I remember the cartoon show that used to be on
Dude,
TV that I
yeah.
watched, and so I was like, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna taint that. I'm just gonna remember
You
the
didn't
TV
watch it at
show.
all?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm anti Disney at the moment.
That's fair.
Not because like,
Can you get into that?
dude, they ruined Star Wars for me, and I
Dude,
hate
they-
to talk about it. I'm like, I don't even want. I don't care anymore. I like my kids don't watch Star Wars. I don't think I'm gonna like screw it, man. They ruin it.
Even like with Mandalorian and stuff like that.
Dude, Mandalorian was good, and then I heard it got bad, so it's like I don't need to watch this. And it's
Yeah.
like,
It's just creeping into everything, and not that.
Obi-Wan was good too.
Not to get like the woke or non-woke thing like that, but just like the storylines in general are just.
they're screwing everything up. I just think it's like just poorly mishandled, and it's like I don't know. This is the way I see it now. It's no longer for me. I'm not the
Yeah,
person
you're
they're
not the
making
target,
it for.
yeah.
So it's just fine. If you enjoy Star Wars, then watch it. But for me, I'm like nah, and then that does affect me on what I show my kids. I'd rather show my kids something else that like I grew up with and I'm fond with or whatever.
Yeah, my nephews love the new stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah, but they love the old stuff too.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with the old stuff.
No, I'm lame. I always pull up like Luke versus Darth Vader and watch that on YouTube all the time. I'm like, it's so good.
Yeah, it is so good. dude.
So you have to show your kids. You only get one movie to show them, and you may have already
Ooh.
showed it or not. But you have new kids. You have one movie to show them from your childhood. What movie is it?
Ernest Scared Stupid. Thank you. We watch that movie all the time
Dude.
already. So
if I watch a movie to this day, I crack up laughing.
I've never even heard of that movie.
Ernest Scared Stupid
Yeah.
for real? Oh, dude, it is
I need to go check it
so
out.
Stinking funny,
Dude,
man.
it's good.
All the
It's good.
Ernest.
Someone on every Facebook feed posts Ernest quotes. Justin's my guy. Like it's
Really?
Wonder how many
everyone's
quotes
got
I've read.
that. Everyone's got that.
That
friend.
guy's name is Jim Varney.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a
He
legend.
played Slinky from the first Toy Story movie,
right.
and then he passed away after that.
That's right. That's
I
right.
didn't know that.
Yeah. That cool, awesome voice that he had.
I can
Man,
see it.
What a legend.
They replaced him. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it was like I think it's that the one dude that's always in the Adam Sandler movies, like that
yeah,
guy
yeah,
replaced him
Okay,
in
okay,
as
okay.
Slinky. But apparently they were friends, him and Jim Varney, so it worked.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, but no, Ernest Scared Stupid, man. I'm surprised. That's a.
I
it's
know
a
which
great-
one
I don't
it's
know how
from.
I've
Do you
never
like-
heard of that.
Do you like horror films or no?
Depends.
It's like
I used to watch them a lot, and then I haven't probably in like 10 years or more.
It's like a good like
It'll scare you if you're like 5.
yeah.
So it's like the Boy Meets World
Perfect.
Halloween episode.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Dude, it's so scary.
What's yours?
But great question.
He's gonna say Ernest Scared Stupid now.
And I've never seen that one.
I've
All I saw
already.
was-
So you asked that question. You didn't have one loaded.
I didn't.
I've got one loaded.
I automatically go to like the Sandlot, but
That's
I
a
feel
good
like
one.
that's a cheap one. So maybe Angels in the Outfield or Mighty Ducks. But it's definitely
So,
got to be a sports.
Do they
one.
have to be like that childish?
What do you mean? That's a solid film. That's a film like a kid can watch and
Angels
adult
in the
can watch.
Outfield?
Yeah.
I used to
I'm
watch
thinking,
that
I'm thinking
all
like
the time.
is Jurassic Park not
No.
I would say that's a
a
little
good
bit.
one.
That's too much because I mean, like my nephews watch it as little kids and love it.
Yeah,
But didn't we all watch that when we were like
Yeah,
5 or 6?
6, yeah.
but that's not. I mean, that's like a
it
series
was
that's
5
still
when that movie came
going.
out.
So it's a little bit. That's like saying Star Wars.
No, it's not, dude. Jurassic Park is
Okay,
done.
you're right.
And Jurassic World is what's happening to these poor kids these days.
But my point is like no one is gonna know Ernest Scared Stiff or Stupid.
Stupid.
Okay, Scared Stupid.
Scared stiff.
I almost
Or
threw my
no one's
microphone.
gonna know. Yeah. No one's gonna know.
That's not a kid's movie. Don't watch that one.
Oh my gosh. So take your time.
Might need to timestamp that one.
No one's gonna know like
My
Brink
nieces listen to this shit.
unless you have someone show it to you. You know, anyone's gonna know Jurassic Park just by Jurassic Park. So like I'm talking about like the deep cuts.
Oh, deep cuts.
I don't know. I would.
Like
disagree.
heavyweights.
Because
Heavyweights.
Steven
Oh, dude,
Spielberg,
so
I think anything he did, especially when, like before as we were growing up, is good. So I think Jurassic Park is fair, man.
It's
I think it's good.
It's incredible. It's my favorite movie growing
I
up.
wouldn't go
probably.
Jaws. I'd go E.T. But Jaws
Dude,
is like
E.T.
that
is so
first
funny.
great film to like. Oh, I want to introduce my kids to horror films. Jaws is like that one. It's not too
Jaws
scary
is so
and
good. I still don't
Good.
swim in the
Yeah.
ocean.
My wife won't watch E.T. with me because she's too scared.
Dude, I hated E.T. growing up.
we would watch it all the time, but I used to have like nightmares about like evil ETs
Yeah.
eating the regular ET or being
my
mean to him.
God.
Yes.
Dude,
Dude, you should make that movie.
Yeah.
did you watch the Robot Chicken where they're like,
That's what I think. Like I was like, dude, they stole that from me because that's what I would imagine that this ET was left because he was the idiot of the ETs.
What was his name? Like, look at Earth Guab with his one glowing Kleborg.
I
That's
wish
what
I
it
had Kleborg, the loser.
was. E.T. No.
Dude, what
Can't
are you
even
guys-
talk right.
What are you talking about right now? This is hilarious.
Oh, we'll watch it afterwards.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
So then for me, if it's got to
Yeah,
be
deep
deep cut,
cut.
like heavyweights.
Heavyweights so good.
That
Yeah.
movie is so funny.
I just showed them it, and to Pete's credit, like he loves
Pete Dog.
all of the old movies that I show him.
Yeah.
He's such a good
He's an old soul,
sport
dude.
with it. Yeah, he like his favorite movie is Sandlot. Like, when we had a van with a DVD player in it, like they would always like it was like Sandlot or Mighty Ducks or
Mighty Ducks is so awesome.
what are the old other ones?
Dude, we had
like
it
all those
made
old-
when we were kids, man. Think of
Made.
the movies we
Rookie
just
of the
mentioned.
Year.
Do you guys remember Rocket Man?
Yeah.
I tried to show somebody a few years ago, like, this is the funniest movie ever. It was so dumb.
Yeah.
They made me turn it off. Like, this is not funny at all.
Oh man.
Dan and I, when we were
Totally different memories.
Josh and I were just talking about the movie like 3 days
we
ago.
were like 24 and
Oh, yeah.
we were at Walmart going through the bins because we were 24 and we didn't have money, and so we saw the Page Master, which is no one knows the page. You know the
I
Page
don't know.
Yeah,
Master?
that's the what's his name? Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Dinosaur
When it
Were
turns
Back.
into like a cartoon
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Loved it. And then We're Back was the other one, and I loved it, and it was scary, like a scary dinosaur movie animation.
I remember that. We used to have that. on
and so we
scary animated dinosaur movie.
not scary. It's a normal.
was
it's
a little weird.
kids,
It's got some
but it got
creepy
dark.
stuff to it at the like.
Kind of like the old like Mary Poppins, Alice in Wonderland and stuff, where they have like weird dark. spots.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this is not my.
so we go back to our house and put in these movies and watch them, and it was the worst
It was so
experience of
We
my
had
life.
such good memories of it. And
That was
then
the
just
best.
Shot down.
Luckily, though, enough time has passed where that's not tarnished the nostalgia of like
Yeah.
remembering watching like.
Is it? I love when I watch an old movie that I watched as a kid, and I enjoy it more as an adult. Like I just appreciate it more.
Give me
Like
for
the
instance.
never-ending story. I was like, I remember I used to always watch the second one because I never thought the first one was any good. But I go back and watch the first one. I was like, dude, this movie's it's a masterpiece. Like it's so good.
Right.
That's how I feel about Lion King.
Oh my
So
gosh.
much
I used to.
plot to it.
I
later
used to
on.
go back,
Great movie.
like watch it, and then rewind the VHS and Lion King specifically. And now, like watching as an adult, there's so many jokes that just like go
Yes.
like my, look at the sun, it's time to go. Like rather than look at the time, it's like look at the sun. It's just so many like clever little things that they do. It's
Tried to
hilarious.
save you there.
I don't need you. They think it's funny.
All he needs is his robot over here.
Did you guys? Well, I hate to keep talking about the Trump thing.
Yeah, well, we never really circled back.
Yeah. No, we can be done talking about Trump.
No,
I
I mean,
think-
you're
I
burying
think-
the lead here. That Trump's. I mean, the last presidential
Attempt.
Candidate.
attempt was what 1980s. It's
Yeah.
been over
81, I
40
think.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a long time.
I think we
that we know of.
can land the plane at let's not shoot people.
Yeah, of course.
Which people?
Ideally, that's the case. Do you see what your cat's doing to our guest?
Yeah.
He's
It's
been
okay.
attacking all our wires.
mauling.
Reminds me of my kids.
Do your kids do that?
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
dang, you have
4
4
boys.
kids?
4
That's
boys.
gonna be a
Dude, I
crazy
couldn't even
household.
get
It
one.
is awesome, man. I was
trying.
gonna say my second oldest loves Godzilla movies, and he'll sit there and watch the Japanese ones, and it's just like he thinks he can speak Japanese afterwards, but like it's awesome, man. Yeah.
Godzilla, Matthew Broderick.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's like
99.
It's awesome.
It's
Or was it
horrible.
98?
That's one that did not age well. I
Oh,
try
really?
to go back and watch it and like it's not like because when I remember like I had a cousin and my mom we were homeschooled and we were really homeschooled. My mom would just drop me off somewhere. And she dropped me off at my cousin's house and he had like 4 VHS tapes of like the old like guy in a costume Godzilla movies. I used to watch those 4 movies over and over again. And I love those Godzilla movies. So like when my first kid was born, the first remake of the Godzilla from Legendary came out, the one with Bryan Cranston. And I was showing him like, oh, maybe he'll like it because I really liked that movie at the time. And my second one just picked it up. He just loves. I mean, when we saw like Godzilla versus Kong, he was like shaking the entire time. He was just so excited. It's cool.
Well, that's tight.
That's awesome. So, the Bryan Cranston one, and then all of the.
I'm not
Kong
aware
and
of the Bryan Cranston one.
Godzilla stuff.
It's 2014 is when it came out. It was just called Godzilla. It was the one where he fights the thing on land, and then the other one that flies or whatever.
So
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
that one.
I was just on an airplane and watched Godzilla versus Kong, whatever the newest
X
one.
Kong New Empire.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the new one.
And they jumped in, and I didn't realize that all these are built on each other. So this is like a full like MCU
Universe,
type
yeah.
deal. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Because it was like Godzilla, and then they made Skull.
Skull Island.
Yeah, Skull Island. And then it was Godzilla versus Kong, and then Godzilla X Kong New
Okay.
Empire.
So I'm watching, it and they're like, Kong's back, and he's fighting Godzilla. I'm like, what? Like, what's happening? I was
Again?
like, yeah, exactly. I missed the first one.
That's awesome, man. He's a great actor too.
Yeah, he's like one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
The Breaking Bad is I will stand by this is the best TV show ever
I
made
agree.
from
Dude, it's
beginning
tight.
to end.
I think everyone agrees with that, right?
No,
Every
some people
list
have
that I've seen-
polar opposite.
I would say like
yeah, I don't understand those
It's either
people.
you love it or hate it.
I don't understand those people.
Me neither.
But those people say that they hate it. Usually, like
3 episodes in.
Better Call Saul. Just like
Yeah,
No, Better Call Saul is way worse.
it's
It's good, but it's not
as good.
I
It's
haven't
not
finished
nearly
it.
as
I
good.
haven't finished it.
Yeah, I
neither.
never got into. Dude, I watched Breaking Bad when I was in Costa Rica, and because I was in Costa Rica, the
Subtitles.
subtitles they just disappeared, like they didn't put them in. So I think that I still missed like 35% of that show. Don't know what's happening.
It's worth watching again. It's a good one.
it's good because
Yeah.
the
Is
beginning
it Netflix or what's it?
it should be on
Um,
Netflix still too.
I don't have
a lot
Netflix
of the
anymore.
Better Call Sauls. Check Tubi, maybe
It's-
not.
It's like AMC or something.
We were doing a
I'm blanking here, but what's the one with the dragons and everyone fighting for the throne?
Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Gosh,
It was like a
I
game.
was gonna say Dragon Fighters or something. But anyways,
Netflix has it.
okay.
yeah. But that was going to be really close to being one of the greatest shows, and right at the end, that show just plummeted to.
I never watched the
garbage.
last season.
It's
didn't watch
so
any of it.
don't waste it. It's so bad.
That's crazy. Yeah, I watched it like up until like the last 2 seasons or something like that.
Yeah,
like
there
they-
there's 1 or 2 at the
I
end.
don't know.
of
The
that.
girl had an egg. I don't know how far I got.
Oh, that's like first
Most
season.
of them
That's the
do,
first
Steven.
Yeah, did one of them end
first
with
episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it like they ran out of story. Like they called
Well, wasn't
the
it a book,
books.
though?
Yeah, that's the problem. They called
I
up
was
the
like,
books, and the
God.
books weren't finished. And it's like so they started making up the story, and they just like they totally dropped the ball. And the guys that were the creators of the show, they were supposed to like make a Star Wars movie. When the end of the show flopped, they got that Star Wars movie pulled from them.
That's really
That
fun.
sucks.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
So then, did they finish the books in a totally different direction,
It was just.
or they even finished?
I feel like
yet?
what they did was they did not. They build up these characters a certain way. They build up certain things like, like, oh, this guy's going to fight this guy. This guy is going to do this. This is what's going to happen here. And it was just like they rushed to the end is what happened. And I feel like they didn't really build up anything, and it didn't pay off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they were going one way with it, and it's just like they didn't follow through.
Sounds like Lost.
No, Lost
Yes.
is tight,
I
dude.
thought
You watch
Lo-
it
like
now.
Lost was so good, but it didn't answer anything at
What?
the end.
That's
Well,
what's so good
that's
about
the
it.
point
I
of
think.
it. Like, it's
that is
purposely
not the
not
point.
answered.
All right. Well, I mean,
Well, that-
that's fine. That's fair. You can have that opinion.
That suffered from writer's strike, and that was the same thing too, where they didn't have it like they didn't know where to finish it. I feel like some of it was probably just them trying to keep this like, well, let's keep renewing this, let's keep it.
What was
going.
it last year?
Lost?
Oh no, of Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. No, that ended a while ago, man.
Yeah, it's like 2020 or something.
I know.
I mean,
I'm wondering if that ended from
they-
COVID, and then there was also the whole writer's strike.
I think
too.
the creators were ready to be done. I think that's what it was, and they just rushed the ending, and they didn't have the books to rely on for resources. I think and it was just not where the story was going. Like everything built up to something completely different.
Which brings us back to Star Wars. So we should probably wrap it up, but I did want to thank our sponsors before we head out. You want to take it?
No. Yeah. I had another question I was going to ask you about something, but I can't remember it now. I'll have to think of it and just ask you sometime.
You're really
Oh wow! Wait a
Cliffhanger.
crushed.
See, that's how you get them coming back for more, dude.
I thought you were something like really deep and philosophical was about to come out, and then you said, "I forgot."
Oh,
it." I
it's
was like,
about
oh.
to once Steven starts playing his instrument.
Oh, yeah, he does it as an outro, too. And it's never the same thing. I promise the listenership that all the unsaudis out there that this is coming to an end. The instruments are ending soon, and we're going to have a real intro song, I promise.
Hey guys, how about Steven, thanks for having 27 straight weeks of a different instrument that you can
20,
play
27,
somewhat.
27 straight weeks of pure misery. No, I love it. I think
Surround
it's fun.
sound right here.
Oh, by the way, Justin, thank you for coming on, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for inviting me. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
I love it. All right.
Check him out on Tubi.
Oh yeah. Do you want to plug anything?
Justin Snyder, that's my name. And the films that I've done were Black Eyed Children Let Me In, which is a Amazon exclusive, and then Bigfoot Path of the Beast. You can find that on Tubi, most ad-free streaming services, so you can watch it for free. It's also on Amazon as well.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right, Steve, you're good. Bye, everybody.
Bye.